Inside. Step forward. After all, you take off your mask now. It's your home. Welcome. Aren't you glad to see me? You finally made it here. It must have taken quite a long time. So, you don't remember me. I'm afraid it might have something to do with the form in which I see you now. This body and soul, they're much different from what I expected. But to answer your question, I am the Weaver. And though it may be hard for you to believe, a part of you knows me all too well. Because it is easier for me to address you this way than to accept that for now, you are nothing more than a human. It is painful, but I must come to terms with it. It is a place where my prince was woven from the threads of pure potential. The Pale Lady was relentless in her desire to fulfill her vision of an offspring, modeled after those she watched so eagerly. It displeases me that you don't remember. I'd envisioned your return and our meeting quite differently. But now it all makes sense. Now I understand why you need that shard. The shard of the prince's memory. It is shattered, much like the fragmented memory of the king that lingers within you. I'd gladly speak with him, but something is preventing him from manifesting. I don't know all the details. What I do know is that after our prince was murdered by our kin, his potential, what you humans might call a soul, did not perish. The prince had been deeply fascinated by humans, and so after his death he manifested in one of them. That person was Arthur, the man who would one day become your king. Arthur was a man mortal like any other, but ambitious like few. But yes, his origins are far more complicated. This is a tale of two separate realities that, through a series of specific events, began to intersect, forming a single knot. Everything that has happened, and everything that will happen, is meant to decide the fate of that knot. And we, as you likely already know, have been pulled into all of this. Our meeting comes to an end. I regret how brief it is, but my role in your story was always meant to be insignificant.
Someone's out there. You'll fall to my sword! Pay for that insult.
We meet again, Lost Prince. I was mistaken about our previous encounter. I erred in thinking I had unraveled what the Pale Lady had planned for the both of us. But I should have known better than to presume or anticipate the moves of someone as shrewd as her. I am tired, Prince. I am so terribly tired. I feel burned out. I can't weave anymore. I don't want to. Never imagined that such a moment could come. Oh, what a truly sorrowful thing. To accept that all things must finally fade. You meeting me. As I mentioned upon your first visit, I thought it was just a coincidence. A fortunate weave of various events that, under a different alignment of stars and smaller choices, would never have come to pass. However, it turns out that I was meant to fulfill a specific role, and it was not to weave new life as I once believed. To weave bridges between you and her despair. Bridges that would allow you to gather the memory shards. She used me, yet I cannot even bring myself to be angry with her. I see now that she seeks to restore the bonds that once were, before her world shattered and fell into ruin. Places like this one, or the one where we met before, were chosen by the Pale Lady for a reason. On their own, they're nothing more than aberrations twisted by the weirdness. To bridge your reality and ours, someone had to weave the passages. That someone was me. In both instances, I believed all my efforts were aimed at weaving a new foredweller, for the first time in centuries. But the truth was far from that. Since we lost the war against your kind, we retreated to Tuathan, severing ourselves from the rest of Avalon. All the while, the weirdness has continued to change. It has grown wilder, more untamed, and far harder to control, even for us. For centuries, places like this seemed lifeless, stripped of their potential. And then the spark began to return. It was then that I resumed my work. The Archspire was a bridge to the place where her son was born. In that cave, I wove the prints from the threads of the weirdness granted to me by the Pale Lady. They were resonating with great desire. It seems the place we stand in now was marked as the place where I had to create the next passage. I did not dare to peer beyond my lost prince. I feel that what lies ahead is bound to a profoundly intimate and ineffably personal aspect of the Pale Lady. It is between you and her. Prince, it is time to go. Leave me behind. I played my role in this spectacle. Hopefully that will grant me freedom. Farewell.
There's no greater joy than watching how a son, born of desire, grows. There's no greater despair than watching how a son, born of one's own thought, perishes. And now you stand here, hidden deep within, and even I cannot fathom what my heart feels. Still torn, for you are not wholly him, my son, my prince of Tuathan. Yet there is a flicker of joy within me, for you carry the soul of an Arthur, whose life was chosen for my son. This means the fragments of memory I gathered and kept safe may be saved. The heart, bleeding and plagued, a fragment of me, of my despair, accidentally brought into existence upon the homelands. My tears seeped into your soil, birthing a terror that became inseparably bound to your kind. The spectre, the Red Death. unintentionally. I could not have foreseen what such an entanglement of our realities would bring. I could not have known the depths of pain wrought by the loss of a beloved child. When it started to spread, I couldn't find a way to stop it. I am so terribly sorry. Arthur believed that abandoning the homelands would stop the plague. The Red Church committed truly horrific acts in their desperate attempt to halt the blight. Yet, no matter what you humans do, the plague will always return. It's like a curse cast upon your kind. And so, you will drown in my tears. I want my son back. You walk your own path, yet you will be faced with choices. I hope that, among them, you will find a way to bring my son back. However, I cannot impose my will upon you. It took me a long time to understand that not everything should be demanded by force. I believe so. And you are already working tirelessly toward this, whether you realize it or not. Since my son's fate became entwined with that of Arthur, the king of mortals, it is necessary to reconstruct the soul of the ruler whose essence you carry within your heart. You will also need the fragments of my son's memory, the ones I so carefully concealed for you to find. Beyond that, the Weaver may possess something helpful. His life-giving spindle, it may prove invaluable when the final trial comes. If you manage to find him, take it. He is no longer bound by the places I created for him, where he could work in peace. I have a feeling he may have returned to his workshop, deep within the forlorn swords. It is a tale about the prince of the Four Dwellers, who unexpectedly became the king of humankind. Arthur, we are connected. In the homelands, he heard my call from beyond the mist. It guided him to Avalon. I met him during his journey. I gifted him with the sword, the spectre of which you now carry within yourself. He is someone very dear to me, someone I lost decades ago. As you already know, we found a way to gaze upon the homelands. My son was fascinated by humans. When one has to deal with entropy and decay, everything suddenly gains far greater significance, doesn't it? He must have desired to live the life of a human. Perhaps it is one of the most powerful manifestations ever achieved by a Four Dweller. Oh, the Weaver. I remember the spark of joy that lit up his pale face when he saw what emerged from the threads of weirdness I gifted him. A living being, brimming with such boundless potential, so vibrant with life. He always had a fondness for my child. He called him the Prince. In the homelands, I saw a powerful thing that we Four Dwellers lacked. It was love, one of many emotions I had to learn. We lived in a world where everything was potent and possible. It made us live a life where we were drowning in decadence. I longed for something more. Our emotional structure was much less complicated than yours. You were quite an inspiration. Yes, I am fully aware that my will to bring Arthur to the shores of Avalon brought war and ruin upon my own kin. What would you have me say? There are no proper words for this. I will simply fall silent. Draw your own conclusions. Yes, although that was a horribly distorted part of me, living as if it were another life. Now I feel more whole. The emptiness is sharper. One aspect of the potential of the weirdness is that it can serve as a tool. For that, I needed a craftsman. Someone who could sense even the thinnest threads of that potential as part of a greater whole. Every Four-Dweller could manipulate the weirdness to some degree. But not all did so with the finesse of the Weaver. He could harness that potential for something far, far greater, like weaving a new life, for example. My skills lay elsewhere. Among them was the ability to peer beyond the horizon of our civilization, to see a different world, a world without the weirdness, a world filled with meaning and purpose, constructed through intricate connections. A single living organism, yet full of individuality at the same time. I feel that sometimes you do not realize just how extraordinary your land truly was. Are you sure? If you have anything to ask, ask. This may be our last meeting So, it is done. I am glad my heart could host you. I hope you will succeed in reaching the goal you pursue. You leave this place with another shard. Use the memory of my son wisely. Farewell.
The center cannot hold, little prince. The fall, it is already here. Step further, and see for yourself. And so you have arrived. I look at you and I feel what you humans call resentment and bitterness. Yes, it consumes me entirely. I feel like I want you to die. I regret creating you. I regret that you lived and still live. I regret that your death, Prince, was not final. Regret. Regret, regret. So much regret. If you had never come to be, or if the Pale Lady had not desired to have you, none of this would have come to pass. She looked at the humans and wished to be like them. She wanted to be a mother. You too. Everything that has happened over the last 6 centuries, it is all because of you. It has to end. Me? I never wished to be part of something so vast. All I ever wanted was to weave, to gaze into the weirdness and try to understand it. I dedicated my entire existence to that pursuit. But one day, the Pale Lady came to me and asked for you. She set into motion a cycle of events that ended in tragedy. My kind were exiled to Tuathan. Your kind were bound to the myth of one man, the once and future King Arthur. This ends here and now. I'm deeply sorry it has come to this.
So, you finally made it. Took you long enough. I hope you're ready, because this is it. The beginning of the end. Ready to finish your journey, of course. You've come far, but every path ends somewhere. Yours ends here, in the heart of it all. Philosophically, not you specifically, but someone like you. Literally, yes, and I was getting quite bored with the wait. This is the Charred Conclave, a graveyard for druids, burned alive as scapegoats for the Red Death. It's a reminder of what happens when people fear what they don't understand. Well, first, you're going to meet my former employer. We don't see eye to eye anymore, but we both realize that our collaboration yields results, as shown by you being here. He'll try to sugarcoat the hard truths I've been telling you from the beginning, spin them differently. Why waste time here talking about it when you're... Just remember, this is the point of no return. Once you've stepped through, there's no going back. But if you've come this far, I suppose you already knew that. Go on. He's waiting for you.
At last we meet. I've heard much about you, your choices, your determination. Caradoc isn't easily impressed, but he was impressed with you. Few dare to seek the truth buried in Avalon shadows. Fewer still make it this far. I was the first. Caradoc followed when my brethren burned and the tear opened. And now, here you are, a truly rare and joyful occasion. Oh, forgive my lack of manners. I am Orin, the last apprentice of Merlin, and the last archdruid of Avalon. I've carried the weight of this land's secrets longer than I care to admit. But names mean little. What matters is the task before us. What lingers here, it's older than Avalon, older than anything we know. What you see is the beginning of weirdness itself. Its purest form, raw potential, unshaped by anything but its lack of boundaries and limits. Beautiful, isn't it? Oh, precisely the opposite of what Caradoc wants. I want you to help me resurrect King Arthur, properly this time. Ridiculous, I know. But yes, that's what it boils down to. At some point, we stopped seeing eye to eye and chose different paths. Ultimately, though, both our paths led to you. Yes, please let me explain. By the end of his life, Arthur became obsessed with his legacy. He left mementos, artifacts that embodied the virtues he wanted Avalon to preserve. Excalibur, a symbol of loyalty and sacrifice. The crown of Pendragon, a beacon of courage and resilience. The shield of Palamedes, wisdom and independence. But Merlin and the others didn't believe that would be enough. The memory of war and the fragility of peace was still too fresh. So they acted. When the king died, his soul wasn't allowed to move on. It was shattered, bound to those artifacts. A clever solution, but ultimately flawed. They feared losing what Arthur represented more than losing Arthur himself. They thought the king's essence would endure if bound to his relics. You can't pick and choose with a soul. But that's exactly what Merlin did. He focused on 3 parts of Arthur: his strength, wisdom, and courage. He left out 2 pieces. One, tainted by the Four Dwellers' magic, was deemed too dangerous. The other was his humanity, the most fragile part. Merlin thought compassion and doubt were weaknesses, unfit for a king. Without them, Arthur became hollow. A king with power, but no heart. That way, Avalon's greatest failure was born. I tried, and I found his humanity. It's here, bound, kept safe. But the Four Dwellers' aspects was left to drift, untethered between worlds. Finding it needed more than magic. It needed someone like you. The horrors you endured on that island gave you something no one else has. You can move through the weirdness, touch it, and return whole. That's why you found the king's soul, bound it to yourself, and came back. No, the asylum treated you as a subject. I see you as a savior. Your suffering gave us a chance, and for that, I am both grateful and deeply sorry. I can see you're still doubting me. I want to bring back our king, whole and complete. I want him to lead again and safeguard Avalon's future. It won't. This time, Arthur will be whole. A king must be more than power. He must be human. That balance is what will save Avalon. Because I've seen what happens without him. Weirdness preys on the weak, and the people are too divided to stand against it alone. Arthur is their only hope. Ever they're left without him, without guidance, chaos takes hold. Division festers. You've seen it during your journeys. If things continue this way, Avalon will tear itself apart long before weirdness finishes the job. They will follow him. That's what people do. When weirdness comes to their doorstep, they'll beg for a savior. And Arthur will answer the call. Help me bring the king back, whole and complete. That's all I ask of you. Now you need to go further. I made my case. Please keep in mind what I told you. This is the only way for Avalon to survive.
I was there when it all began, when Arthur first set foot on Avalon. I was a knight in his army. We believed in him, in his dream, in his kingdom. And for a while, it was glorious. Every battle felt like a step closer to peace. Every sacrifice justified by the dream we shared. But then came the cost. The war crimes, the impossible decisions, the massacres, slaughters, and irrational cruelty. We turned from knights into butchers, all because his dream demanded it of us. At first I told myself it was necessary, that it was the price of building something great. But the longer it went on, the harder it was to believe. That's when I realized Arthur wasn't a god, a savior, or a king. He was just another man, no different from the rest of us. And no man should have the power to demand such sacrifices. But do you understand why I want it so much? I'd like to believe that after 600 years I've moved past pettiness. You need to understand that people thought, and still think, that he was more than human. But he wasn't. He made mistakes. I've seen what happens when people cling to kings and myths. They wait, they follow, they waste their lives on promises that never meant anything. But that's not my problem. I'm not here to fix Avalon, or to free anyone. What comes after doesn't matter. Let it all burn, let it rot, let it rebuild. I won't be here to see it. Arthur's the only myth that still holds weight. And when he's gone, the rest will rot with him. A puppet king, another empty throne, none of it will last. Maybe they'll keep pretending for a while, maybe they won't. Let them stand, let them fall. It's not my concern. If the weirdness takes them, so be it. At least it won't be another king's failure. Another lie propping up a dying world. It'll just be what it is. Then let it. If this world can't stand without a dead king propping it up, maybe it deserves to fall. Call it chaos, call it freedom, I don't care. Let them rise, let them fall, let them tear each other apart. I just want to watch it all come down, to see the last lie collapse under its own weight. What comes after? That's for the ones still standing to figure out. I've lived longer than any man should, seen more than anyone should ever bear. And I've waited centuries for this moment. Arthur isn't Avalon's hope. He's its curse. We were fools to tamper with forces we didn't understand. Resurrecting Arthur, infusing him with powers of the weirdness. Such violations of nature's order cannot go unanswered. This cannot be allowed to... Listen, it's taken longer than I ever imagined. But now, here we are. You've done what no one else could. What even I couldn't do. You've brought Arthur's soul back together. Almost complete. But so, thank you for bringing us to this moment. You're close now. Just one more step. The last fragment of Arthur's soul is waiting for you. Complete what you came here for. And then, we'll meet again. As allies, or as enemies. That's up to you. Go. Find the last piece.
You've come. The one who carries what's left of me. Please, don't come any closer. Don't force me to think about coming back again. Just let me finally die. Because I've had enough. Enough of being torn apart and stitched back together. Enough of being used, shaped, and forced to be something I'm not. Do you know what it is like to be a king of nothing? To see the people you swore to protect suffer because of your choices? Or worse, in your name. I've seen towns burnt to the ground, families destroyed, all because someone thought it would serve the greater good. And they called it loyalty. They called it justice. I've been dragged through every dream, every lie they've built around me. And I'm tired. Tired of the weight, of the expectations, of all of it. And most of all, I'm tired of failing. Orin wants a king, not me. He doesn't see the broken man behind. But symbols aren't people. They're empty. Do you know what it's like to be a weapon? He thinks ending me will free Avalon. But what then? People always seek something to follow. Take that away, and they'll tear each other apart trying to find it. I want release. I want to stop being a tool in their endless struggle. Kill me. Destroy the last piece of me and use the energy however you wish. Take it yourself and become the new king. Give it to someone else. I don't care. Just don't let me come back again. Let me die. Not as Arthur, not as the king, just as a simple, normal human being. Isn't that what you've been doing all along? Carrying what's left of him? You've already taken up the humanity I was meant to represent. Doesn't that prove Arthur doesn't need me anymore? Another way? There's always another way, isn't there? But please, not for me. Not anymore. I don't care. Do you know how freeing that is? To finally not care what happens next? To not feel the burden of all my failures? To not see the suffering my name causes? Do what you think is right. That's all I can tell you. And that's the only thing I've ever wanted. You hold the choice. I don't care who you side with. I don't even want to know. Just let me go. Let me die. Please. Nice to see you.
You carried a dying king across the bones of a dying world. Now you stand before what started it all. An idea. I am the reason there must be an ending. I do not guide. I do not judge. I exist so that something can be chosen. I do not offer meaning. I require that one be made. You have brought all things to their conclusion. Now, decide what must remain. Choose, and let the shape of the world follow. He shall find his way home,
the tear between the worlds shall close. Then the prince will ascend and return to his mother. The heart shall cease its bleeding. Through his ascension, the weirdness will be tamed.
No, I won't let this happen. Not again.
You uncovered the truth buried in the weirdness and used it to return Arthur to where he truly belonged, ending the cycle and securing Avalon's future. The four-dweller mother's heart, no longer bleeding, sealed the wound in the world, and with it, ended the Red Death that had stolen so many lives. And so, the legend of King Arthur began to fade. In its place grew a stronger Avalon, where the weirdness was no longer feared, but understood.